Welcome. Don't adjust your dial. Welcome everyone to the Lofi Poli Sci podcast. I'm your host, Michael Pickering. That's right, Lo-Fi as in low fidelity, low quality, in your face, messy as can be, global news show. It's Tuesday, Lo-Fi Nation, and you know what that means. It's time for Tuesday's Top 10 list. And yes, we have an actual top 10 list today, people. Every Tuesday, we look at global indicators and surveys to see what countries hold the top 10 rankings in particular categories. We'll cover things like GDP, oldest countries, freest countries, happiest countries, and more. And no worries, Lo-Fi listeners, we'll cover what each category means before we jump into the list. Today's top 10 list, largest shadow economies of 2017. Oh, I know we have some explaining to do on this one, so let's hit it. First off, what is a shadow economy? Everyone always talks about the economy, and we have a pretty good grasp on what that means. It's the amount of money a country, meaning the people in a country, make. Usually we measure a country's economy by their gross domestic product, also known as their GDP. The larger the GDP, the more money people are making in that country in a given year. But what we don't hear about that often is the shadow economy. Oh yeah, this is the undeclared money made by people in a country. It's those cash dealings that the governments never get to take a piece of my pie from. Oh yeah. No, I'm joking. I pay all my taxes, donate to the government every month, and please leave me alone, big brother, I'm innocent. Okay, I think I'm covered. Moving forward. So a country's shadow economy is the amount of money that people make that's either legal or illegal, but not taxed or declared to governments. Simple as that. Though not really that simple, and we'll talk about this more after the list, as well as why we're using 2017 list in the year 2020. Anyway, to the list. Countries with the largest estimated shadow economies, listed as a percent of their GDP. This list comes from the research done by the Institute for Applied Economic Research at the University of Tübingen in Germany. And coming in at number 10, the Netherlands, with 8.4% of their GDP coming from the shadow economy. Number 9, Japan, with 8.6% of their economy coming from the shadow economy. Tied for number 8 is the United Kingdom and Australia at 9.4%. Number 6, Canada, with 9.8%. And now to our top 5. Number 5, Germany, with 10.4% of its GDP coming from the shadow economy. Number 4, Norway, coming in at 12.2%. Number 3, Spain, 17.2%. Number 2, Italy, at 19.8%. And coming in at number 1, the country with the highest percent of GDP coming from the shadow economy in the year 2017, Greece, with 21.5%. Wow. That means that in 2017, it's estimated that over 20%, 1/5 of all the money made in Greece, was off the books money. Money that people didn't declare, and money the government couldn't take. That's a massive amount of money, Lo-Fi Nation. But let's talk about a few things here. 1, why a 2017 list? 2, why are these lists estimates? And 3, why we need to be careful when looking at data like this. To our first question, why a 2017 list? Very simple answer here. Because research like this, that looks at the undeclared underworld economics of the planet, is increasingly rare. And furthermore, it's increasingly rare to be done by actual economists. You see, economists and political scientists that publish their work have to go through a peer review process, and the data have to be solid as well as their results. As such, you don't see this kind of research done reliably very often because of our second question, which is, why are these listed as estimates? These are only estimates because we're looking at the amount of money people don't declare to government. This is the money people are hiding. You think they're going to go on a survey and declare it to people just for research purposes? I think not. Hence, it's only estimates, and that's why it's not done or published credibly very often. And yes, while surfing around on the net for a more recent list, I came across some other data from other sites. And I'm going to make up names here because I'm not going to give shoutouts to real sites that I don't trust. But I did find data on sites like WeReallyKnowWhat'sGoingOn.com or the shadowy underbelly of the global economy.com, or maybe this site, what's really poppin' in people's pocket.org. No, I'm not using data from sites like that. I think not. And this brings us to our third question. Why we need to be careful when looking at data like this. So simply put, because in order to make these estimates at the global level, Economists have to make some assumptions in their data and models that may not play out the same in every country. These are estimates and only meant to give us an idea of trends and scope of what's really going on in the world today. This study and list aren't about coming down with 100% accurate results, but it is about breaking ground into better understanding of what's happening in countries. But now we come back to that time where we go to that famous question we always end our list with. Why does this list even matter? Now this is a great question for this list in particular. From the government side of things, especially for Greece in this case, it matters a lot. Since the 2008 global financial crisis, Greece has been hurting something fierce. The government doesn't have enough money to pay for all the services it needs to provide to the Greek people. This list here would suggest that a big part of that is because about 20% of all the money made in the country, people are hiding from the Greek government, and the government isn't able to collect taxes on that 20% of the economy. If the government were able to do so, then they could, theoretically, use that money to provide those services to the Greek people. And for all countries, this list represents how governments are missing out on potential revenue. But it also speaks to the people and how they feel about giving their money to governments. And this list would suggest, government of Greece, Greek people really don't like giving you their money. And again, big brother out there, I pay all my taxes. I'm quite pleased doing so. Please leave me alone. And that's this Tuesday's Top 10 list. Always remember that Lofi Poli Sci is more than just me. It's the we that we be. Thanks for listening. Stay safe. Wash those hands. And I'll see you on the next episode of the Lofi Poli Sci podcast. Pickering, signing off.